Welcome to Beyond the Barbell, the podcast where we go beyond sets and reps and explore the world of fat loss, strength training, muscle building, and how to live an elevated life. I'm your host, Braden Barrett, creator of Look Like You Lift. Let me know if this sounds like you. You're putting in the work, you're showing up at the gym, you're eating all the food on your meal plan, you're checking all the boxes, but you're not seeing the scale moving. You know you're doing the right things, but you're just not seeing results right now. So you get discouraged, unmotivated, and you end up giving up and you just quit. The worst part is you quit right before you hit a really big breakthrough. If this sounds like you, stick around. Today, I want to cover exactly how we can stay motivated even when progress is slow or even if it's non-existent. So I want to share a story of one of our clients, Leanna. She tried to lose the same weight for over 20 years. She was stuck and she would lose some weight. She's literally tried everything. She would lose the same weight, but it would always come back over and over and over again. So when she came to us, we took a completely different approach with her. We just focused on her day-to-day habits, her mindset, and making sure that she just stayed consistent on the things that we knew worked. It took 3 months to do this, but as soon as she nailed it down, as soon as she got consistent with the things that she knew she should be doing, boom, the weight fell off. So we focus on habits and consistency for 3 months, and then boom, 30 pounds of weight loss occurs, and it feels like it's almost effortless. Fast forward to today, she's kept the weight off completely and hasn't come back, and now she has lifelong habits that she can continue with for the rest of her life. But this never would have happened if she gave up and she lost motivation during that process where we were just focusing on building habits and foundation. Now, you may not need to just focus on habits and consistency for 3 months. We did with Leanna because of the decades of poor information and poor habits that she developed. It may not be for you, but it's safe to say that we didn't really see much movement in that 3-month period, and she still maintained motivation. So that's what I want to go over with you. There's a concept that we first need to understand: linear actions versus compounding results. If we were to map out a chart, on the x-axis, that's time, and on the y-axis is results. Most people think it's linear. Okay, if I continue with my habits, if I continue with my little daily checklist, I should see linear results. The more things that I do, I should see a linear return over time. But that's not how it works. Okay, hardly anything in life is linear. Look at saving money. Saving money is not linear. Probably the only linear part of saving money is the actual investments that you put into that account. But we don't actually see the major magic that happens with money until compounding interest comes into play. Same thing goes with your results, okay? We will see a compound effect from the work that you put in today 3 months to a year from now. Okay, so if I put in time to work on my body today, I will not see results today, but the decisions that I make today and tomorrow and the next day will compound over time and lead to a permanent transformation at the very end. Okay, so I'm going to pull up this chart again. We got this expectation of the results that we think we should be seeing, and then we have the actual process of results, which is compounding. And you see that giant gap there in the middle? That is the valley of despair. Okay, that is where there's a big disconnect between your expectations and the results that you're actually seeing. But the good news is this valley of despair quickly shortens, and the results that you see compound exponentially. But most people give up right at the beginning. Most people give up because they're not seeing they're not seeing the results they think they should be. They're not seeing the results they think they should be seeing from the 1 week of effort that you're putting in. So I find that it helps a lot if we can remember that results do not come linearly. They compound. They come over a long stretch of time. That is actually good news, okay? Because again, if I use the example of money, if you invest $100 a month, every single month for the next 30 years, after 30 years, you never have to work another day in your life. You can simply just live off of the interest off of your investment. Same thing goes with your body. There comes a point where you have to put in quite a bit of work quite a bit of effort, but that's not how it's always going to be. You will be able to ease off the gas a little bit, relax a little bit, have some fun with your food and have some more social time. And you won't have to worry about letting those results go away. Okay, but you do have to get through that grind portion. Remember that valley of despair? We have to get past that valley of despair before we can see those results. I think a lot of it like cleaning your room. So if you are like me and you are horrible about cleaning your room, especially when I was a teenager, let's say that your room is just a disaster area. You can't even see the carpet. Like there's, you forget what your floor looked like. There's clothes everywhere. There's old dishes. Like it's just an absolute disaster area. How much effort and time will you have to put into cleaning up your room? It's probably going to take a couple days to get it spotless. And it's going to take a lot of focused energy and effort into getting that room spick and span. Is that how it's going to be every day, every week after that? No. There's simply a period where you have to really grind to get that room cleaned. But as soon as the room is cleaned, it's just a maintaining period after that. We just do a maintenance cleanup for 5 minutes every other day, 5 minutes once a week even. And then once a month, you can do that deep clean where you vacuum and you wipe your windows and you do the more deep cleaning stuff. But the point is the amount of focused energy and effort happens at the beginning of the transformation. And after that, it's not nearly as difficult. Another example is if we look at the amount of energy and fuel that it takes to get a rocket into space. How much fuel is needed to get a rocket into space? And how much of that fuel is expended during different periods of ignition? So to get a rocket into space, about 90% of the fuel is completely exhausted in the first 20% of the departure of the rocket. Okay, 90% of the fuel is exerted in the first 20% of the departure. Okay, so if you've got to get a rocket from Florida all the way to the moon, majority of the fuel, 90% of your fuel is exerted right here. Same exact thing with your transformation. Okay. So I use these analogies, I use these stories to kind of paint a picture for you of the reason why we haven't seen results yet is because we haven't seen the magic of the compounding interest yet. Doesn't mean that you're not going to see results. Doesn't mean that your efforts are in vain. That's not what it means at all. It simply just means that we need to continue showing up. We just haven't shown up enough yet. You're making the correct decisions. You're investing into your permanent transformation with every small micro decision that you make throughout the day. And those results will compound. They will compound, but you just need to give it more time. Now, putting into practice, what can we actually do each day to continue to keep us motivated during this process? Number one is I like to track weight daily. But I want to make a big caveat here. I'm not tracking weight daily to anticipate weight loss daily. That's not the point. We're tracking weight daily to gather enough data to make a decision off of our weekly averages. Okay, so we gather we gather the daily data and take a look at the weekly average to make sure that we're on track. If it's been 14 days and the weekly average isn't moving in the direction that we want it to, we have good data that we can make decisions of what we need to do after that. Okay, so we track daily, not expecting to see weight loss daily. You won't, but we use that to help with our weekly average. Give yourself other metrics to track. Okay, don't just track the weight on the scale. What other things can you track? This is one of the reasons why here at Look Like You Lift, we use strength training as our primary mechanism for your physical activity, other than major health benefits. But it gives you something to work toward. It gives you something that you can work on, a little micro win that we can accomplish every day. So on the sticky note plan, you're able to beat your previous PR from the previous day or the previous week. That's very motivating. That's very inspiring to come in knowing and getting excited that you can beat what you previously did. So give yourself micro things that we can track and micro things that we can monitor. Twice a year at Look Like You Lift, we do a virtual powerlifting meet. So this gives our clients 6 months to prepare for a really cool opportunity to beat some previous PRs and also win some cash. Okay, so these are things that we can focus on outside of just the weight on the scale and how we're looking that help us to stay motivated. Other things that you can track. How are your blood pressure numbers looking? Are they going down? Blood sugar numbers, how's that looking? I always make the joke that some of my favorite PRs are blood pressure PRs. I love it when clients and followers send me this screenshot of their blood pressure monitor. I love that. What other things can we track? How does your belt fit when you put your pants on? Is your belt down one loop? Is that going in the right direction? I had a client when I used to run a barbell club. He bought a weightlifting belt. So he was like at the very end, he was the very end of the belt, and he dated that. And then every time that he had to go down a notch, he had to date the notches. Okay. So you had like January and then February and then March. And then so like that's a really cool way to track your progress as well. So get creative and try to find ways that you can motivate yourself to shoot for other things outside of just the weight on the scale. Because I find if you're just focused on the weight on the scale, that's not only there's a little bit of unpredictability with that, but also it can become discouraging when there's some things that are out of your control. So what are some things that we can put on our control that we can focus on and challenge ourselves with? Another thing is journaling your NSVs. So NSVs are non-scale victories. This kind of goes along with my previous point. So you should be journaling every day anyway. And you should be having a gratitude journal, keeping track of the things that you're actually grateful for. But you should also be tracking your non-scale victories. Were you able to climb up your flight of stairs without getting tired? That's a non-scale victory. Write that down. Were you able to walk your cart back to the grocery store after you dropped the groceries off, where before you didn't have the energy to do that and you had to just leave it out in the middle of the parking lot? That's an NSV. Were you able to bend over and tie your shoes without having to hold your breath and being extremely uncomfortable? That's an NSV. Write that down. Were you able to button the top button on your shirt? That's an NSV. Write that down. We gather these NSVs to help us to look at the stuff that we can do now. I had a client who his NSV was he was brushing his teeth and he couldn't help but notice the veins in his forearms and how good his arm looked while he was brushing his teeth. That's an NSV. Write that down. I love it. Last thing to kind of help keep you motivated is hire a professional to extrapolate the data for you. Okay, so there's a lot of data that we use internally with Look Like You Lift. We track performance, we track your training metrics, we track your nutrition, your weight, but our clients aren't expected to be responsible for taking that data and making decisions off of that. We simply take that data and we make the educated decisions for you. You simply just have to log it. So it can be overwhelming when you're tracking all the data on your own and trying to troubleshoot. So like, let's say that you are making progress, but then you hit a plateau and you're not quite sure if you need to make an adjustment to food, if you need to make an adjustment to training. Should you make an adjustment to the macro composition? Should you make an adjustment to meal timing? You're just not sure what you need to be doing and you don't know how to quite troubleshoot. The amount of time, energy, and frustration that it takes to try to figure it out on your own is a lot. Whereas if you were to have someone who's been there, who knows exactly how to take that data and extrapolate it for you and eliminate the guesswork and to show you exactly the next step that we need to take to make sure that we hit results, that's priceless. So that's a wonderful way to keep motivated, is having someone take the data and just extrapolate it for you. So big takeaway here: how to stay motivated when you are not seeing results or progress is really slow. Simply remember, the choices that you make today will determine the success of your program in the next month, 6 months, or a year. We don't anticipate that our daily decisions are going to cause daily results. We anticipate that our decisions today will compound and lead to a very easy, sustainable, and permanent fat loss transformation later. I hope this helps. Let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was for you. Let me know also in the comments what our next topic should be. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks.